real issues, the question of whether the United States and China, two countries with vast economic power, vast political power, can happily coexist in the world. That's a question that's going to be defining international affairs for decades to come. And even if we resolve this trade dispute, there's a great deal that's ahead of us. And one has to say that the degree of truculence that has been observed, particularly on the American side, is troubling.
Oh, let me ask you, because we've seen with the wall and all the facts and counterfacts, I mean, what the administration is saying about the wall are not borne out by the facts. And what the president started to say at the very beginning of his administration, that trade wars are good, that they're easily winnable, that we will win, seems to have sort of also boxed him in. But here's what he said on Friday, just as this round of trade negotiations was going to get underway.
China's not doing well now, and it puts us in a very strong position. We are doing very well, but we're taking in billions and billions of dollars, and I hope we're going to make a deal with China. And if we don't, they're paying us tens of billions of dollars worth of tariffs. Not the worst thing in the world.
So, I mean, there's a lot to unpick there. That this whole issue, he says China is doing badly. I think he implies worse than the United States in this trade war. That gives him a very strong bargaining position, a strong negotiating hand. What do you make of that?
What he said was mostly a melange of confusions. To start with, we're taking in billions of dollars from American consumers and American businesses who are paying higher prices because of our tariffs. It's Americans who are paying these tariffs, not the Chinese. Second, the main problems the Chinese economy have are the problems of changing a state enterprise economy into a market economy, and the slowing does not primarily have to do with our tariffs. Third, the president vastly overstates the comfort of our own economic position. If you look at consensus economic forecasts, people are now saying there's a 40 or 50% chance of a recession within the next 2 years. That's the right reading of what financial markets are saying. So our position isn't so strong. This whole idea that somehow trade wars are good things is really a very serious misjudgment that's going to do a lot of damage to many of the people who the president professes to care most about. Yes, we should be addressing issues around Chinese trade practices. Yes, there are problems with China taking our technology from U.S. companies, but the kind of administration that declares that Canadian steel is a national security issue for us, the kind of administration that suggests that putting tariffs on European automobiles is somehow a thing we need to do for our national security, that's a kind of administration that's going to have minimal credibility in pursuing the valid American objectives with China. And the president needs to understand that he has done what other presidents have not done. He has bragged and treated the stock market when it was going up as a reflection of the glory of his policies. That wasn't right, but live by the sword, die by the sword. And in a period when we appear to have a much more volatile stock market, that's also going to be seen as a reflection on his policies.
So beyond the president himself and his policies and the politics of all of this, there is the very, very serious issue of the global economic health. And you just mentioned just there the possibility of a recession. You've just written a piece for the Financial Times in which you fleshed that out. What signs are you looking for?
I think what one has to look for is the the spending willingness of consumers, the investment willingness of businesses, and the signals that are coming from market participants' judgments in financial markets to assess the likelihood of a downturn. We're certainly not in a downturn yet. The Christmas season in the United States was strong as best we can tell, and certainly hiring was substantial in December, according to the employment survey. But if you look at some of the more forward-looking indicators, what businesses are saying they expect in terms of orders in coming months, what consumers' buying intentions are, what's happening to the price of products, what's happening to the price of commodities, those are sending a more troubled signal. And that, combined with very substantial uncertainty around the European economy and various problems that seem to be arising in the Chinese economy, all create a sense that certainly the peak rate of expansion globally has probably passed, and we're going to see slowing. And whenever you start to see slowing, the prospect or possibility of recession is something that you have to reckon with.